Hello, I'm Bailey Lager, and I'm back with another football video today as I have my Week 5 NFL picks for the 2018 NFL. So the first game starting off, the Colts versus the Patriots, Thursday night football game matchup. I think this is a pretty interesting matchup between quarterbacks. The Colts, I feel like the trouble they've had is protecting Andrew Luck, but the Patriots defense has kind of struggled. The Patriots are coming off a really dominating victory, and I don't think this game's going to be a blowout. In fact, I don't think any game's going to be a blowout because the games I picked this season to be blowouts were not blowouts; they were the opposite. But at home, coming off an impressive win or a dominating victory over the Dolphins, I'm going to go with the Patriots in this one. Broncos versus the Jets. This is both teams coming off losses. I feel like the Broncos will bounce back in this game, and I feel like Case Keenum's not going to have to do too much to win this game, as the Jets are starting to, after being impressive in Week 1, they've just gone downhill since then. So I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. Dolphins versus the Bengals, two teams that I don't think people expected to be 3-1. The Dolphins were 3-0, and the Bengals won their last couple games. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals in this game. This is at home. I think Andy Dalton's playing pretty well. They've had some injuries, losing Tyler Eifert, and Joe Mixon's had some knee injuries, but I feel like AJ Green's going to have a pretty big game, and that will be the difference in this one. Falcons versus the Steelers. Two teams that were coming into the season being postseason contenders. Off to some somewhat disappointing starts. The Falcons coming off two quarterback shootouts in which they lost, and the Steelers off to a 1-2-1 start. This is in Pittsburgh. Both defenses have been pretty decimated and just don't look great, and is preventing these playoff contenders going into the season from being Super Bowl contenders. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one, even though they're not going to have Le'Veon Bell again. I feel like the Falcons defense has just suffered too many injuries, and that will be the difference in this game, and I think the Steelers will win this game. Giants versus the Panthers. The Giants just do not look impressive. I mean, there's too many offensive line issues. Despite having, some great talent, I think Eli Manning's starting to look like he's aging a little bit. I feel like Cam Newton will have a pretty big game. He'll find, his targets like DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey, and I think the Carolina Panthers win this. Probably the best matchup, most interesting matchup coming into this week, the Jaguars versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs undefeated at home, with Patrick Mahomes, probably the most talked about quarterback in the NFL right now. Jacksonville, a top contender in the AFC. Blake Bortles coming off a really good game. They're not going to have Leonard Fournette, obviously, but, they still have a pretty good defense. And I think this is the first test for Patrick Mahomes. But against a top AFC contender, and I feel like if he can, somehow get past that, that Jacksonville defense, I think the Chiefs might be contenders early on, and insert themselves as a favorite in the AFC. And because of that, I like Mahomes, a little bit more than Bortles. I think that the weapons on offensively are better for Kansas City, even though the defense is definitely going to go to Jacksonville. I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one to win this game. Packers versus the Lions. Packers coming off didn't have to do too much to shut out the Bills 22-0, and the Lions were kind of in an offensive showdown with the Cowboys in which they lost on a last-second field goal. This is in Detroit, but I'm going to take the Packers in this one. Ravens versus the Browns. Ravens coming off a big win always, anytime they can beat the Steelers, and especially in Pittsburgh. And the Browns coming off a controversial loss to the Oakland Raiders. This is in Cleveland. I think this game will be closer than it indicates, but I think he's done all right this season. And he's got to hit more throws, but I like that Baltimore defense, even though Cleveland has a pretty good defense as well. I like the Ravens in this one. Titans versus the Bills. Titans coming off surprisingly 3-1, and the Bills off to a disappointing start of the season. I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think coming off that victory against the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, is definitely a big difference. I think Mariota, if he can stay healthy, I think that's going to be a big part of this game. And I think he'll have a pretty good game against a Bills defense that isn't really that good, in my opinion. And I think he'll lead the Titans to victory. Raiders versus the Chargers. Raiders coming off finally getting a win, and the Chargers coming off barely just scraping by Jimmy Garoppolo's backup in the 49ers, C.J. Beathard. This is I mean, honestly, anytime the Chargers play a home game, it's not really a home game. And it might be a home game for the Raiders if you think about it. But I think competitively, I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one. I think Phillip Rivers, I just like him more as a quarterback than Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr has been regressing lately. And I think they have more offensive weapons. Cardinals versus the 49ers. The Cardinals now remaining the only team that has not won a game this season. Despite Josh Rosen having a decent performance in his first start in his career. I feel like the coaching is definitely better with the 49ers. But I think the keys in this game for the Cardinals is, if Josh Rosen is on a hot streak, I think that coaching has to let him continue to throw. And not only that, to protect him well as well. I think they need to get David Johnson more into the passing game, change it up a bit and confuse that 49er defense on how they're going to use him and mix it up. I think the receivers need to catch the ball more, especially when Rosen's throwing good passes. This is a bold prediction, but I feel like the Cardinals, with the 49ers without Garoppolo, I think the Cardinals will pick up their first win this week. Rams versus the Seahawks. The Rams obviously off to 4-0, and I think from Vegas betting, I think they're favorites for every game for the rest of the season. And versus the Seahawks, even this is on the road. Last year, the Rams played the Seahawks on the road, and they blew them out. Something that you just have not seen in the Pete Carroll era for the Seahawks. And I don't think this is going to be a blowout, but I think they're going to be obviously the Seahawks are without Earl Thomas for the rest of the year. And I think the Rams defense is just going to be more dominating. They just have more weapons on the offense with Todd Gurley and Coop and Brandon Cooks, and I think the Rams just have way more weapons than the Seahawks, and they'll win this game. Vikings versus the Eagles, another great matchup. Both a rematch of last year's NFC Championship game, and really both teams kind of in a weird spot, and it's kind of a must-win game, or at least They really need to win this game. Both teams do. Vikings 1-2-1, and the Eagles off to a 2-2 start. I think this game will be a lot closer than last year's NFC Championship game. But I think the keys in this game, the Eagles, they can't do what the Rams did last week and give up that many points to Kirk Cousins. So I think defense is definitely going to be key for the Vikings. It's going to be defense as well. That defense has not been off to a good start after being one of the best defenses prior to the playoffs last year. They need to pick up the pace. And I like the Eagles at home, though. I like Carson Wentz a little bit more, even though I think the Vikings have more weapons. I like the Eagles a little bit more on defense. Cowboys versus the Texans, the battle of the Texas teams. I think this game will be closer than it probably indicates, but I think the Cowboys really got their offense going last week. Texans obviously were able to get their first win. I think this game will be close, but I think the key in this game will be Ezekiel Elliott. If the Texans are able to contain him, I think they'll win this game. If they don't, then I think the Cowboys will win. And I personally think Ezekiel Elliott's going to have another big game, and I think the Cowboys will win this game. And then the Monday Night Football game, the Redskins off to a 2-1 start coming off a bye week, and then the Saints coming off a victory over the Giants. Key indications in this game, Drew Brees needs, I think, about 200 passing yards to pass Peyton Manning's record of career passing yards. As well, a big key in this game, they're going to get Mark Ingram back, and they're going to be able to have that tandem running back that helped the Saints be one of the best teams in the NFL last year, that tandem running back of duo of Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, and I think that's going to be the key in this game. I think Drew Brees will get his record, or he will pass Peyton Manning's record in this game, and I think Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, I think Ingram's going to be fired up to come back after being suspended, and I think That's going to be the key in this game, and this is at home as well, so I'm going to pick the New Orleans Saints to win. And that's it for my video. As always, follow me on Twitter at BaileyLaser96. If you like the video, click like. If you like the content on my channel, please subscribe, and leave your comments below in the comment section of what you think will happen in Week 5 of the 2018 NFL season. If you haven't seen my Week 4 and Week 5 recap, or my week 4 recap video, check that out in the description below. Check out later for my I'll be back with another Major League Baseball video, as I will be predicting the divisional rounds of the 2018 Major League Baseball postseason. So thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you all later in my MLB divisional rounds predictions video.